Sophia, my jujitsu bestie here. Actually, you were the first person one of the first people that when I first started training, you were the first girl, obviously. There's not that many girls in our school. You were the first person to like really come up and like be super welcoming and friendly to me. I'll never forget that.
Oh, I love having girls in the gym, so you're totally worth it.
Thanks. I'm glad we're friends. Okay, so I want you to tell me about your jujitsu, you being an athlete, and how you started doing jujitsu.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started jujitsu in 2019, and I've been at it pretty seriously, but I go at my sport with kind of a different mentality than maybe other people would because I had such a long career in dance. So I started pre-professional classical ballet at 12, and then I just kept going until I was 18. I was homeschooled. I didn't go to homecoming. I didn't go to prom. Like I had a good group of friends, but they were all within kind of the dance world. And growing up, that was kind of my mindset was everything I did was so that I could become a professional in classical ballet. But of course, when I turned 18, I got burnt out. I wanted to try other things. And so yeah, I love jujitsu. I'm happy I'm in it. And I do other things. I surf and I scuba dive and I work on boats and I want to start traveling. So yeah, I'm much happier, much happier.
Being out of dance and
Yeah, uh, classical ballet. I don't want to say too many bad things about it because it's a beautiful art and it's one of the like oldest arts out there for sure. And it taught me so many wonderful things. I just wonder if I could have still learned those good, valuable lessons without so much self-hatred that you kind of grow up learning. My schedule was pretty crazy. I would do like school work from 8 to 12, and then from 1 to 9 p.m. we would dance, and then I would go home and I would sleep, and then I'd wake up and do it again the next day. So I would do that 6 days a week for like years. But because it's such an old art and you have all of these teachers who only know how to teach the way they were taught, there wasn't a lot of like encouragement to just love yourself for who you are and what your body type is. So I grew up thinking that I was too fat. And then I got older and I started dealing with like eating disorders and things like that. I just continued to hate myself over and over and over again each year that would go by, and it got worse. And the worst part was all of my friends hated themselves too. So when you start that way at such a young age, it seems normal to you. So when I quit ballet and I started doing jujitsu, all of a sudden I was in a big baggy gi. There were no mirrors anywhere. And I like there was no pressure to do any of that. So it felt weird and it felt off. And I was around a bunch of guys who do not care what you look like and how much you weigh and all this stuff. If anything, they want to encourage you to be strong and happy so that you can come to the mats with a pleasant attitude. And I'm much happier. I'm in a healthier sport.
yeah, so why did you start jujitsu?
Yeah, I started because I didn't want to do any other sport. I couldn't see myself at 18 starting with a soccer league or other popular sports, but I knew that I had to be active. I took a few months off of everything after I quit ballet because I figured I would just be like a normal teenager. I started going crazy, obviously, because my body was used to so many hours of physical activity, like a certain amount of pain that I dealt with every day. That absolutely, like just taking it all away and just kind of laying around doing schoolwork was awful. Like I felt like I was losing my mind. But I I thought that jujitsu was raw, and my dad was a wrestler growing up. So jujitsu has a lot of wrestling in it. With the knowledge that I had of that, I thought it would work for me.
I know we've talked about this before, just about jujitsu and what it brings to your life, what it does to your self-esteem. That's one of the reasons, or one of the things that I really gained from jujitsu was just this inner confidence that I hadn't felt before. So, I mean, I know, I've talked about this before, and what has jujitsu done for your self-esteem, especially coming from the ballet background, which kind of seemed to have the opposite effect on you than building up your confidence.
I was already comfortable with being in bad, uncomfortable positions in ballet. So coming to a sport where that's kind of the main mentality, I was okay with it and I was comfortable in it. The more I started doing it and the better I got, the more it got harder. I don't know how to explain that, because people start going harder on you in the beginning. You don't know anything. You're like a puppy. You don't know what you're doing at all. So people are very easy on you, and it's just pure, like, I'm teaching you, and you're doing everything you can to just like retain information. But once you start getting better, all of a sudden you can't submit people and you can't get to good positions. So for the first year that I started jiu-jitsu, I didn't win anything. I couldn't even get good positions, because when I started, there weren't really any women. There were maybe 2 or 3 older women who weren't comfortable training with men.
Mhm.
So I just had all these male partners who were not about to let me get good positions. So I had to literally just get comfortable, basically being smothered and crushed for the first year. After the year mark, that was when I started kind of encouraging more women to come into the school. And that's when I started getting better training partners. And that's when my confidence started building, because I had been defending myself for just an entire year. So I think that was kind of the starting point.
Talking about being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, I think that that will not only be super helpful in a self-defense scenario because it teaches you to be calm. And if someone was attacking you, it like puts you into like automatic reaction mode with your body. So I think like getting beat up a little bit in jujitsu helps with you being able to just not think about maybe you're in pain or this person's crushing me or oh crap, this person's laying on me. It's like, okay, breathe and like figure out what to do next. And I can really
Right.
relate to that. I'm
Absolutely.
still getting people laying on me and kneeing me in the head all
We
the
all
time.
do. Forever, forever. There will always be someone better.
Yeah.
It's so great to know. I totally agree. If God forbid something were to happen to you in public or in private behind closed doors, if someone were to try to touch you without your consent, basically, the worst thing you can do is freeze. And unfortunately, every woman that I've talked to that's dealt with stuff, that's what we do. We freeze because we all have the same mindset, which is, I can't believe this is happening to me. And so what I love about jujitsu is the more you do it and the more mat time you spend doing the movements, you're training your body that when bad stuff is happening to you, someone is sitting on top of you, you can't breathe, someone is putting all their arms on your face and smothering you, you can't breathe. It's training you to not freeze, but to fight out of it. The more you do it, the more confidence it gives you. And then you start like rising in the ranks in the school, and you start going against people who are newer at it, and you start winning. And then when you start winning, there's a new level of confidence that not only is it possible for me to do this, but I've spent so much time losing that I'm already plenty humble. This isn't feeding my ego. It's just reminding me why I love it and why it works. It's like proving it to yourself. It's so valuable.
I totally agree. I know a passion of yours is to bring more awareness to jujitsu for women, and you and I have spoken about this before too, where when you're coming into a situation like this and you don't know, it's very intimidating for me. I had known about jujitsu for like 8 or 9 years before I actually set foot into the
I
school.
didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah, it's intimidating for someone who doesn't. So maybe can you speak on that, like why you think it is a good sport for women or how women can be more encouraging to other women in the sport and why that's important? Because I've gone to other schools now, and starting out at a school that was so welcoming to women and having like a nice group of women, and even the guys at our school are super supportive. They're not annoyed when they have to train with you. They're very helpful.
Right.
Going to another school where that is not as prevalent or it's not the atmosphere that I'm used to. So I kind of had to navigate my way through that. Can you give your opinion on that?
The competitive dance world can be very toxic. I mean, you would hear stories of people putting shards of glass in each other's point shoes before they would go on stage, people tearing each other's tights, like weird stuff. It's not that the dance world is all bad, it's just there's enough of it to be concerning. So you get very numb to it, and people look at you, people glare at you, people treat you badly, and you just like water off a duck's back. You just ignore it. So going into a martial art where you're around all guys and then you have one or two girls, you have a natural instinct to kind of stick together. But when you get more women in the school, there is, the subtle toxicity or gossip or favoritism that comes with it. And obviously, if you have younger athletic people in the school, they're going to get more attention because they're going to have more time to accomplish goals. That doesn't mean that they're better or worse than some of the older people. It's just different. It is what it is. There was always favoritism in dance. There was nothing you could do about it. You just could either treat the favorites bad or good. That was all you could do. But it wouldn't affect your dance. And so when I realized how to become a favorite was to continue to outwork everyone else. That's it. So don't expect to become a favorite if you're sitting there watching, doing nothing, just glaring at people. If you have a good professor, they're not going to care. So when I started getting more attention and then more females started coming into the school, I was so excited because I knew that if enough time would go by and these females would keep training, I would have more training partners to train with. In me training with them, they would get better, and them getting better, I would continue to get better. So it's still almost a little bit selfish, but I'm still helping people with it. And that was in the beginning when I first started competing and stuff like that. And then we started getting more females in, and it started becoming much healthier because I wanted to make such a valid point to almost be obnoxiously nice so that they wouldn't forget the kindness that I was showing. Because when people first come in, that's kind of the first attitude that you feel, and that will stick with you. So if you come in and you're feeling negative, or you get a negative or toxic reaction, you're going to know that you have to have your guard up going to the school, and you're either going to have to meet it with toxicity or ignore it. And I don't want women to feel uncomfortable. They already feel uncomfortable coming into the gym, having men sit between their legs. Like, there are uncomfortable positions. And if you're not used to it in jiu-jitsu, of course, you're not going to be like, oh, this is great, I'm having fun. Of course not. It's sweaty. It's dirty. It doesn't smell good. Like, let's be honest here. It's not always the most comfortable environment to be in, but it is so much fun. Like, it is so much fun learning to love yourself and literally creating your own building blocks to love yourself and to love that you can beat up other people if you want to. It's like having a superpower that you don't feel the need to use, but if you had to, you would be able to use it. You know what I mean? So that's what I want to encourage. Is I want to encourage women to, because we're already uncomfortable everywhere we go. We're already being sexualized everywhere we go. We're already on guard. So might as well have some confidence in what you're doing. When you're going to the grocery store at night, when you're traveling alone, when you're doing all of these things, when you're going to the car dealership by yourself, like, you might as well have some tools to have, because you're already going to feel uncomfortable. Because that's another excuse that people use. They're like, oh, well, it's awful. I hate it. It's too uncomfortable. Well, of course, like, everything as a female, I feel like, is uncomfortable. We're constantly have to deal with stuff like that in our lives. But you might as well feel comfortable with your own skill set, and have a team. Hopefully, I mean, every school is different. Have a team of men and women who support you. So at least if I can get women to try jujitsu, even if they don't stick with it, if they feel encouraged to go try other things to build a community with, and to get in shape and to just feel healthier and to learn about, nutrition in their own body and stuff like that. Like, it can almost be a stepping stone for other things, even if it's not a long-term thing for people. Because again, at the end of the day, it's a martial art. Like, we have to sign waivers before we start. Like, it may not be for everybody, and that's okay,
Yeah, no, it's definitely not for everyone. I know I became obsessed with it after my first class.
So did I.
Yeah, right. And yeah, it is interesting. I like your perspective on that because you shouldn't be competing with other students within your school almost. And I feel like there are places that is a thing where it's like you would, yeah, they would rather not be helpful. And like I said, it was so weird. So I appreciate that, knowing how much help I did have in the beginning of my jujitsu journey, which I'm still in the beginning of it. Let's be
Yeah.
real.
Well, here's the thing is you're doing great because you're trying other schools. I just don't want to sugarcoat it. I've gone to other schools, even other Gracie Baja gyms, and I walk in and there are other women there and I immediately feel that kind of like it's either a simple like rivalry, like, oh, there's another female in the gym, you know, I'm at her gym now, so she's gonna have to like kind of fight for it a little bit, right? Because I'm coming in, I'm not just gonna lay down and die. I'm here with my team. Like I have to represent my team. And I've walked into gyms where people are super friendly and they don't care. And I've walked into gyms where people are like, they have something to prove. It's purely, you know, egotistical, and I am now on their turf. It's so weird, but you know, you get a little bit of everything depending on the school. You could have a competitive school where they just mainly do competition. You could have a self-defense school and they mainly do self-defense. So they don't really care. They just want to, you know, be comfortable in what they're doing and their slow techniques, right? And then you have a school like Gracie Baja where they want to cover everything, even physical fitness. So they'll have like workout classes in there sometimes.
But my point is, it depends also what your goals are. If you're starting out in jujitsu, you've never done it, you're not going to go to American Top Team in Coconut Grove where they're all MMA fighters and jump in
No,
and say, "Hey guys, let's train together." No, they're going to be like,
no, do your research.
yeah, do your research.
100% do your research.
And it depends on your goals with jujitsu. Like you were saying before, other women in there, if you're older and you're doing jujitsu as a way to, it's just something you want to learn self-defense, you want to build your confidence, some kind of physical activity, fine. But if you're there to compete, it's going to be a whole different experience for you. And, the people who are also taking it very seriously and competing are not going to, I guess that may be another thing. If someone's like doing competitions, they're training for Worlds, which is actually going on right now. You're not going to sit there going with the person that trains twice a week. You're not really going to care to like build a relationship with them or train with them. So I guess having that perspective as well is, be realistic about.
Well, here's another thing. If you're going to a jujitsu school to make friends,
yeah, true.
you're probably going to be disappointed. I'm just going to say it now. In training, in doing jujitsu for you, and you meet other like-minded women who are doing jujitsu for them, whatever the reasons or goals, you can become friends and come together, because at the end of the day, you can't do jujitsu by yourself. So just in them being who they are, it's helping you. Now, if you're coming to the school and you're going there to get attention or to make other women feel bad or to make yourself feel better by dragging other people down, that's different, because that's not really jujitsu. And there's a little bit of that sometimes with certain people at the school, and I'm trying to weed that out. I am trying to get that out of there, because as women, we can feel it. If you walk in, it's just with a look of expression from another female, you can immediately feel the attitude of the school. Because if you're new and you see colored belts that are giving you that expression, that's negative, like you're not going to feel welcome, which kind of goes back to why I said that sometimes when new women come in, I like jump on them and I put my face in their face and I tell them how welcome they are and how I'm excited that they're there and stuff, because I want that to cancel out anything else that they have felt, whether that's maybe a newer guy coming in and not understanding how you need to respect and not sexualize women, or another female who happens to be having a bad day and maybe she gave you a bad look or something. Like, I want my expression to cancel all of that out. I love having women at the school. I love seeing women get better. I love seeing them get better to the point where they can beat up other people. Like, it is amazing. It's simple and it's amazing. I love it. it's like it's like Wonder Woman. Like when we watch
Yeah.
female superheroes on TV beat the crap out of people, like it's amazing. But to actually see it, like not stunts and not like movie magic where she throws a punch and the whole like neighborhood falls apart. I mean, like a female taking a dude and throwing him over her shoulder and choking him out is beautiful to watch. Because
Yeah.
we have to deal with it all the time. So it's not,
Yeah,
bias.
it's funny. Tell you how many guys that I haven't really rolled, like sometimes the guys I'm at Roger's school, Roger Gracie versus Gracie Baja. What I like about Gracie Baja in Jupiter at Joe's school is that the guys there, they're okay to train. And like the difference of the schools, like I said, like people are there to compete. There's people that like are very serious about jujitsu and competitions. Most people at Roger Gracie's are competing and going
Right.
around the competitions. So I don't have male partners as often as I did at Jupiter. And not to say a difference, it's just, this
Well, and you also
school
have a lot of
smaller.
cultural differences over there because it's such a big international city. So, like you said, people from, maybe like the Middle East and stuff who can't roll with women and things like that. But what's unfortunate is that's when you want a powerful female team to be there.
Exactly. Yep.
With a school that big, like you would hope that, I mean, we're going on 5 years of being opened in Jupiter, and we have like 20 women who come consistently to the GB1 and GB2 classes differently, but I would like to get a lot more in there, and I'd like to get a lot more competitive females. We have a lot of self-defense and physical fitness females who just do it for fun and to be in shape, which I think is awesome. But it takes a certain level of mental toughness to want it bad enough to go out
Yeah.
on a competitive mat and actually want to fight for a medal or fight, for your life. So
Yeah. And South Florida is a different like vibe. Obviously, it's small. It's slower pace. There's smaller people. The people in the area are not looking to go around the world, compete in serious
yeah,
competition. So it's a totally different thing. But knowing those two dynamics, and then going to Henzo Gracie's in New York, which was great. Which I had a really good experience with a lot of guys there. They're so
good,
nice,
good.
and I think I'm bringing this up because I think it being such a male dominant sport, it allows you to be very intimate with people, and it allows women to be intimate with men as long as there's not a creep, because there are creeps out there too, ladies. But in general, most guys it's like a non-sexual intimate situation to be locked in a man's legs, or to have a man like straddling you and vice versa. So it's nice to be able to have interactions with men like that, and it totally be like a platonic experience where there's boundaries that are not crossed. So I
Right.
think it's a nice way
Agreed.
to interact with men that way too. So, and I liked being able to start out at a school where the majority of my partners were men up until the end, so it was nice to be able to interact the way. I mean, I get my ass kicked a lot,
Yeah, but it's
but
nice. It's
still.
nice to have like truly just like friendly relationships with men who are not trying to hurt you, who are trying to help you better yourself, uh, and build your own confidence. I mean, obviously, it's not a perfect world. So every once in a while, you'll deal with someone where you just know. But like, I want to encourage people, and I need to do this more at the school with the women. But I want to encourage women to, if you're feeling uncomfortable in a non-jujitsu way, like in a person on person way, get up and walk away. Like it's okay. Because some people are like, well, he didn't actually say anything, or he didn't actually do anything. I mean, now in me saying it out loud, it doesn't sound that bad. Whatever. Like if you're uncomfortable, you can get up and walk away. If they were feeling uncomfortable, they would do the exact same thing. They would just get up and walk away. Like men don't apologize for shit. So we shouldn't have to either. Whether it's like in the actual match, if someone's going too hard or too spazzy and you're like, I feel like I'm going to get hurt, it's okay. Tap out and walk away. If you have a good coach or a good professor who's teaching the class, they should completely understand and back you up all the way. I mean, like, I don't care if I'm now known as this like fragile princess of the school, because I've had so many injuries at this point, even outside of jujitsu, that I just have to protect myself. I'm only 22 and I've already had 3 broken ribs and torn cartilage and like dislocated kneecaps and stuff like that. So I need to take care of myself because I want to be able to last for a long time, because I have a lot of injuries that came from my previous sport as well. So I know that I'm able to at any point stop what I'm doing, get up and walk over to Joe, sit next to him and be like, it wasn't working. I don't want to get hurt. And he'll immediately know, like he doesn't need any explanation. If the fact that I'm sitting here and saying, I don't want to finish the round because I don't feel safe, he like immediately trusts my judgment. So if you have a good coach, you'll understand. But you know, we're kind of raised to coddle everyone around us and to accommodate everyone. So we feel like pressured, and I don't want to hurt his feelings, and I don't want to make a scene, and I don't want to be known as that person. Like, again, you shouldn't be going to jujitsu to create this reputation for yourself. Period. You're not there to make people comfortable. You're there to make yourself comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Again, it's already uncomfortable enough to deal with the martial art itself. You don't want to have to deal with all this other bull crap, you know. Not that it happens all the time, it's rare, but when it does happen, again, it's supposed to be in your safe spot, and you don't want to be doing that freeze thing where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. I'm in my martial art trying to be safe. I never thought I'd deal with this, and here I am dealing with it, you know. So
Yeah, and I think that super helpful and a great environment for someone starting jujitsu and for women. So that's really nice. Yeah, I like that. I wanted to talk about coming as a woman into a very masculine sport where you are not there to look pretty. You know, I think that in jujitsu, there's a way for you to still have your femininity, but it's not showing. Like, I think if you show up to jujitsu looking to get validation for sexually, or it's just not gonna fly. It's not gonna be acceptable. And so coming to jujitsu, still being able to be pretty and feminine in such a masculine environment is something that, like, me coming from the beauty world, such a superficial, it's not superficial, but superficial profession where you are supposed to look beautiful, or you're trying to help make people look beautiful on an exterior level. Coming to a sport where it's like the completely opposite thing. It's kind of like balancing the masculine and feminine within you as a person too. So
right.
I know I've kind of talked about still being able to be beautiful and sexy while also doing such a nasty, sweaty, smelly, gross sport where you just look crazy and crappy
Yeah.
by the end of it.
Yep.
You and I, after we've rolled together, we look insane and we're sweating, and it's our
Somehow
hair's
your
all
hair always still looks done, but we don't need to
oh,
talk about that. Every time you come to the school, I'm like, how did she get her hair look that nice? Like,
oh.
still, and stay that way until after class. But I agree. I especially because I'm in your boat. I came from a world where it's like, you know, you glue your hair to your head so that there are no wispies flying around everywhere. And you got on stage, and if you hunch your shoulders a little bit, like, you're done. Points deducted. Like, so I love that about jujitsu. I love that I can go in with messy hair, and that it's scrappy and it's raw. I actually think it makes me feel more feminine. It doesn't sound like right to someone who doesn't do jiu-jitsu probably, but it kind of gives off like the female warrior vibe that you're going for, which women love in the world of CrossFit, in the world of bodybuilding, in the world of powerlifting. So I guess just aggressive sports that women can do as well is where you can get that feeling. But I feel like I deserve it more almost because I'm physically grappling with the stronger sex, like, and not dying. Like I make it out on top. If it's a good day. And if it's a bad day, I lose, but I still held my ground, you know? And now if I were to ever deal with something outside of the gym, I know that I wouldn't be walking away unscathed. Like I would for sure be beat up and in pain and maybe injured, but I would be the one walking away, period, because it trains you how to not give up. So I feel like there can still be femininity in that, you know, because if you look at anything like women protecting their children or animals out in nature, like female lions and female bears, they're really dangerous. They're really scary, but they're still females. They're still, you know, taking care of their children and their young and stuff like that. So I don't know. The only way to feel it is to kind of do it. I can understand how from the outside point of view, and you're looking in, it looks like women wrestling, and they're all messy, and they look like they don't care about what they look like, which is partially true. In the moment of you fighting for your life, you don't care. You don't care about how you look and how you present yourself. But at the end of the day, why are we presenting ourselves to look a certain way? Because when I'm not on mats, I look normal. I look like a girl. I look healthy and feminine. But when I'm on the mats, I'm there to not look pretty. I'm there to help my skill set. Because if I were to ever have to use my skill set, I, again, wouldn't be trying to look pretty. You know?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense too, because I think there are a lot of women out there that like wear full, I never still understand this, wear a full face of makeup to the gym to go work out. So I feel like I normally, actually, when I first started, I feel like I did wear like, like even tinted moisturizer, try to put on cover up, and then you just realize, no, I got to give up on that. So, yeah, that was really interesting too. And then I think, you know, it does allow you to unleash a, I don't want to say it's a masculine power within you, but for me it's like jujitsu a lot like feeds that like part of me that we in society as women don't get to almost unleash or tap into often. So that was something for me. It was like, yeah, I want to fucking kick someone's ass, and you get to like use that. I don't want to say it's aggression either, but maybe it is. Maybe it's that aggressive side, or it's like an outlet for you to use that inner like masculinity. Maybe it is as a woman.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I like that you said tap in.
Yeah, it's because I think, I always had this like this power, like you feel like this little powerful part of yourself that you don't get to use and express. And I think for me, jujitsu has allowed me to connect with that. And then, yeah, it brings like that confidence within you too, in a way, because you get to express a part of yourself that you don't normally get to as a woman on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and there are extremes to everything, right? So I can't do MMA. Like I cannot be hit in the face. Anytime someone's like, "Oh, we should, bring the striking classes back and let's put our gloves on and stuff." Like I have no desire to do that. Even when we had a striking class, like 2 years, I never went to it ever. I have no
Yeah.
desire to put gloves on and hit someone else. I have no desire to stand there and be hit in the face. Nope.
That's my biggest fear in jujitsu, actually, like breaking my nose. And I
Yeah.
got hit in the face a couple of times, which, knock on wood, did not ever result in an injury. I actually got my first jujitsu injury in the last, like, in a year and a half.
With the knee?
Jujitsu with my knee, yeah, which was my own fault for doing takedowns with a girl that has no idea what she's doing. Again, my own fault. But, and it's interesting, too, because I have friends now. There's two things I want to talk about, too, before we kind of wrap things up. Is a different version of myself would have never done jujitsu, never thought about ever wrestling. When you would see women, there's this like preconceived notion or stereotype that we think women, oh, they're like masculine, or they're like a lesbian, or they're a boy, or they're not feminine when they're doing this. And now I have met so many different women that have wrestling backgrounds. Like my partner now at Roger Gracie here in London, she has a strong wrestling background, and
Right.
it's awesome. Like, I'm like, damn, why didn't I do wrestling in high school?
Mhm.
Like realize like how fun it is. And, actually one of my best friends, Katie, is talk about getting punched in the face. She did competitive boxing. She was like the Golden Glove champion in her area. And she's really pretty and feminine. You just see like, there's so many different facets to like what a woman can do and the journey. And I know there's a lot of women out there that are just intimidated to pursue a dream or try something new, or they feel like very disconnected from a purpose or a passion. And luckily for me, I'm always willing to try different things and try new things. And obviously you are too, knowing that going from being a ballerina to now being a very serious jujitsu athlete. It's like, I think encouraging women to just get out there and try something new. Like, yeah, it might be scary and you might hate it, but you might love it. And jujitsu has brought so much to my life, so many friends, so much confidence, just so much comfort in my own body, and then being able to meet so many people from around the world just doing jujitsu. I never could imagine that this would
Absolutely.
happen starting.
I agree. I same thing. If you would have told me at like, 13, 14, 15, like when I was younger and I still had my eyes on one sport and I like being a specialized athlete, that I'd be doing a martial art, I would have laughed and said, no, I can't have arm muscle. I need to only have it in my legs. Like stuff like that. And I wouldn't have believed you. So now it's so interesting that I want nothing to do with that mentality, body type, or community. I I'm obsessed with learning about myself now and pushing myself, and um, I like being strong. I like being strong. I like being powerful, and I like using leverage to do it because my best friend is a power lifter, competitive power lifter, and she like the idea of jujitsu right now makes her uncomfortable because she's like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I want to be able to bend down and pick it up. So it took her a couple of times coming into the gym and watching me train that she was like, oh my God, I can understand why if someone smaller than me grabs me that way, I wouldn't be able to move. And now it makes sense because I saw it happen. So now she wants to get a couple of like world titles, and then she wants to start jujitsu when she turns 23. So she's 20 right now. So she now wants to like is thinking
That's
about trying
cool.
future, you know what I mean? But it wouldn't have happened unless she had gone in and watched me do it like she did. Because in just having the knowledge that jujitsu exists and not knowing anything about it, I understand how it can turn people off, and that's okay because we all go through different like levels and different stages in life and different mindsets. So it probably wouldn't have been healthy for me to start jujitsu when I was younger because I wouldn't have been able to mentally handle it. But now that I'm at this point in my life, for some reason, I just happen to be able to handle it right now. So it's okay. No one should pressure themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everyone's at stage.
in your own timing. So, I mean, I encourage obviously all women, like it's not for everyone, but it's worth seeing if
It's
it's
worth
for you,
trying. It's worth
for
trying. It's
sure.
worth taking a class for sure. Absolutely. Especially if you do research and you are like, hey, these guys have a lot of females. I like the way they look. I like the way their school looks. It looks clean.
And then we mentioned, meeting awesome friends. And I know that one of your goals, right, is to travel around the world doing jujitsu and I want you to come visit me in London because there are so many different people from all over the world here. And obviously being a student at Roger Gracie's, so many people from around the world just want to come and take
So
classes there.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
understanding that, like, what do you see in the future for you, or anything else you want to mention about your connection to jujitsu that changed your life?
You know, I I really want to travel because I'm burnt out with society here in America.
Mhm.
And that's like my own personal like views, but I want to see if I'm entitled and spoiled or if I'm actually like validated in what I'm feeling. And I don't like how there are so many other cultures out there that I have like that are not talked about. So number one, I want to travel. I want to see the world not in a touristy way, but in a like humble, like teach me type of attitude. Like I want to learn about different cultures. And I understand that there are language barriers and that I, as an American, shouldn't be expected to come in and start speaking English, expecting people to understand what I'm saying just because I'm American. Um, so the best way to uh, travel, I think, is to already have a community where you can go to other spots and meet other people in that community. Because in my case, this would be jujitsu, and jujitsu is already a physical language. So to be able to go to other countries, find a gym, and humbly go in and just I at least have something to bring to the table, which is my technique and my background in jujitsu. Um, I'm already like helping people who are willing to like meet with me and talk with me. So um, I'm going to Japan in October. That'll be awesome. I'm going for a whole month. So I'd like to find some gyms and to just do jujitsu because no, I can't speak Japanese fluently, but it'd be nice to be able to go and physically roll with people and make friends that way. Um, so that's why I'd like to go to other gyms and travel, and then eventually it would be awesome to kind of build up like a female travel team or competitive team and go around and as a group of people you learn um, about other cultures and train and compete and stuff like that. So yeah, that would be
That's
huge.
so cool, Sophia. Imagine, I mean, maybe it's out there, maybe it's not, but that'd be really cool if you could come up with like or if you can create yeah, a team that travels around and maybe even like lives in different areas and trains with different people. I don't know how it would be, seems like it would be a niche thing because not everyone can do that, but that's
Sure,
amazing.
it'd be probably a group of like at the most 6 people. Like that would not be like a huge type of thing, but I know better than to expect people to have my same mindset, which is why I'm going to Japan by myself. But um, it wouldn't be fair for me to like just start spouting all these crazy ideas and then to not be able to back it up. So it would be cool to go and get some experience by myself. And then who knows, maybe if I do it, I'm like, oh, wow, like now I know this isn't for me. Or I'd have more knowledge and be like, okay, I do want to do this, because I know better than to sit here and try to predict like the next 5 to 10 years, because things change and we change. Like we are constantly changing um, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So um, I mean, I don't know if you remember when I broke my ribs, like I had to take 3 months off of jiu-jitsu. Like everything out of my life was taken away. I couldn't work, I couldn't do anything. And I really had to like be comfortable by myself in my own head without running to other things to temporarily help with either trauma or mood swings or bad relationships or whatever. I couldn't run away. I had to face it because I couldn't move. um, so jujitsu saved me because I had already been training myself to be okay in uncomfortable positions and in situations that here I was with 3 broken ribs and a bruised lung. I was like, this is okay. Like, I'm going to get through this. I know what this is like, to be this uncomfortable.
And on that topic, isn't it interesting? Because I remember before you had broken your ribs, and you were telling me you got a little burnt out and blah, 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 blah. And then
Yeah.
we about this when you did break your ribs about how, like, I think I was telling you, like, this is like the universe's way of saying, Sophia, let's take a break for a minute.
Let's
Let's
calm
like
down.
here. Isn't that interesting how life works out that way sometimes for you and then helps you gain a different perspective and you think things kind of are happening to you, but really they're happening for you, like people say, or it's like helping you to like regain your, a fresh perspective on something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think good can come out of anything. It was a horseback riding accident. Like, it was 100% my fault. I was alone. Like, I was by myself at the barn. Like, it was 100% my fault. There was no one I could blame it on. It was me. I shouldn't have been doing it, but good came out of it because I went at it with the right perspective and the right mindset. I think people need to remember that, you know, decisions have consequences and like blessings attached to them. So if you're, aware of the decisions that you're making and you're aware of the fact that they affect everyone around you, then you might go at it differently or you might not. If you don't care, I understand. But like, it affected everyone around me. I mean, it really hurt my family and my mom and my dad and my brother. It stressed everyone out a lot. It ended up helping me out so much, but it hurt a lot of people around me. So I think it's interesting to keep that in mind. And you know, everybody's different and things happen to us for a reason. It helped my personal growth, but to other, like my mom wouldn't have been able to handle it, but she doesn't do the same level of activity. She's dealt with different trauma that I have. So, with her, she lost her sister in a car accident when she was pregnant with me. Like, she lost her mom to get, like, she's had deaths in the family. So to get a call that I'm like driving home, I'm like broken everywhere. Like, it was really scary. And now everyone's doing okay, but um we have to take care of ourselves. And if you're not doing well mentally, like for me to act out, it's not to go drinking or smoking or partying, it's to go and do a adrenaline rush type of thing. So to get on a horse bareback and to start galloping into one direction.
Yeah,
um
when you're not a horseback rider.
when I'm not. So yeah, it was crazy, but I learned a lot from it. And I I have like just a little bit of a different understanding of big decisions now, because I want to learn from my mistakes. I want to make my like mistakes to learn from, but I want to have common sense and I want to learn from them and I want to make myself better. I want to save myself from pain. You know, I want to learn about myself. I want to know what I can and can't handle and what I like and what I don't like. And I want to allow myself to change my mind and to maybe be caught up in something and then realize it's not for me. And I want to have the confidence and the strength to back out, you know, because a lot of women don't have the guts to do that. They can't handle, they'd rather sit and dwell in their pain than deal with it and get out of it. You know, I want to find out how to not have to survive like that.
Yeah, it's not easy to heal and not easy to look at yourself. So
It's not.
look at your shit and sit with it and move through it. It's painful and time consuming, and yeah,
But jujitsu helps people like you and me because you're sitting here and you know this much, and everyone around you knows like this much or more. And
Mhm.
you're sitting here like, wow, I'm so far behind. I'm not going to be able to do anything to these people probably ever because they're already learning so much longer and faster than I am. But I want to create this space into a bigger space of knowledge. So just keep coming, and it trains you to get past your own ego, to heal from stuff that you don't like about yourself. It puts everything out on the mats and it's up to you on how to react. Because when you're doing jujitsu, you can only do one move at a time, but so can the other person. And that's where the whole like chess game comes into play. So I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And that's
Me.
one thing that I did learn. And one of the other things I learned, I love about jujitsu is it helps you to be very present in the moment. It helps you to get a lot of mental clarity as well. It calms your mind down because it forces you to focus and think almost, okay, what am I going to do next? So it's like very strategic. And that's something that's, yeah, really cool about jujitsu too.
It's amazing. You'll be doing it, and then you'll find yourself doing some like superhuman move that you didn't know you could ever do. And you're just in shock of your own strength. And then other times you'll have a bad day and you'll come in and someone who you beat all the time beats you easily. And then you're back to square one. It's fascinating and it's addicting, you know. I remember being told I was weak like my entire ballet career because I was so tall and so flexible and I could never like turn or jump. I could just pose and
Mhm.
be super flexible. And so now it's like I'm past the point of being weak. I can do things in jujitsu that I never thought I would ever be able to do. And I'm okay. Like it didn't hurt me in the process of doing that cool move, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and then just again, come back the next day and just be beaten to a pulp and wake up the next morning and have to like take an ice bath or something. Like I love it. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's for me. I think the closing thought should be like encouraging people to like go out and try different things. Don't be afraid to go in and take a class of something new and not like it and then not have to go back or like it and continue going back. Like encourage yourself to build yourself up and to test yourself. Life is not going to be fair and it's not going to be comfortable. So figure out a skill set that you're happy with for you, you know?
Yeah, and amazing. And it also like on that topic, you did not actually give up your dance skills and like everything in life you build on top of it because now you're training to be a dance instructor as well, a ballroom dance instructor, which I think is so freaking.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I do
So
ballroom
hey,
dance.
you can still do jujitsu and kick people's ass and be a sexy, beautiful ballroom dancer as well.
Thank
So
you. Yeah, I just
yeah.
competed in a ballroom competition. I got third place. That was insane. I, it's completely different. You're in heels and not point shoes, and the goal is to be sexy, not pure and pretty. So it's definitely a different world, but I love it because I can attack the dance world in a different way and in a different light than I did when I was just in ballet. Because when I was in ballet, it was like, this like timid personality that you want to strive to have. And in ballroom, nobody wants timid, which
Yeah.
no one wants timid in jujitsu either. So I wouldn't have been able to do ballroom if I didn't have jujitsu in my back pocket.
This conversation can go on forever, but again, just one more thing. When you're saying these things, it's reminding me of something that I'm sure I've told you or we've talked about, and I say to people is like, for me, life used to be like people are trained and taught to like live inside this box, right? Up until recently, it's like, oh my gosh, if I don't, you can get stuck in that box of your own mind, depending on like what your environment's like too. If people around you are telling you, hey, this is it for you, which I'm sure you felt like when you were a ballerina, like, hey, if you're not gonna go this professional route or you have to fit into this box, and if you don't, then done. So it's
Right.
interesting to see an evolution of someone's life. And that's why I want to have these conversations with them. And that's why I want to start this podcast. For me, being stuck in that box just was so painful for me and so difficult to move out of, over the years. And then hearing how, and just an example of how that's not true. You can do and be, and life evolves, and you never know like what a skill you are doing now, how that will look for you in the future. And you're a perfect example of that, going from one type of dance to giving it up, thinking you were never going to be a dancer again, to doing jujitsu for the last 4 years very seriously. And then now dance has come back around, and it's,
Yeah.
you've almost breathed new life into that part of yourself, and it's evolving into something different. So I think, there can never be a mistake or a wrong way to do
No.
things. It's only a lesson or a building block that's going to propel you forward in the future, and I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, it's like what we said earlier, where we're all different stages in life, and you're gonna have a different mentality when you're 16, and then again when you're 20, and then again when you're 25, and then again when you're 30, and so on and so forth. Like, you just experience life differently. And we're always going to be kind of stuck at forks in the road, and it's up to you if you want to face what you're going to have to face with a victim mentality or something different. Right. I am done looking at things like a victim. Like, oh, pity me. I guess I can't. Like, no one. You may have people in your life who will then help you by pitying you, but it's not going to help you. You're not helping yourself. I don't think that we should have to take everything on our shoulders and face every single burden that we're gonna, like, no, like, whether you're spiritual or religious or whatever, give your burdens to something else, but strive to be strong. Like, we can do it. You can be strong. You can have what you want. You can have whatever you want. I mean, it's like we were talking about, where just in being women, we can come to the table and we have stuff to bring. Like, men can't. We love them. We need men for sure. Men are very valuable, but just in being women, we can come to the table. We can just create life. Like, imagine all the other things that we can do. We can have whatever we want. We can be whoever we want. So right now, I just happen to want to be like a jujitsu competitor, but I'm totally going to be forgiving with myself if I wake up a year from now and I don't want to do that anymore. It's okay. I don't owe anyone anything. I owe myself everything. Like, I want to be able to do whatever I want to do. And I am. Like, I know that all of my coaches are going to be so mad at me when I go to Japan for one, but they're going to have to be okay with it because this is what I want to do. So yeah, everything's going to be great. Like, it will work out. There can't only be good and there can't only be bad. There has to be kind of a balance. So
I agree. Sophia, I love you. I'm so happy to chat with you. I think you're an incredible person and you've got amazing things ahead. So
thank you. I love you, Rachel. You're my favorite person ever. It's been awful not having you here, but
I know I miss you so much.
I'm going to see you soon.
Yes, you're going to come visit me soon.
I'm going to come
All
visit
right.
soon. I love you, my dear.
Okay. I love ya. Thank you.
Is there anything else recorded wise or anything else?
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, people close out podcasts and the girl, Allie, we can edit this out, this little combo at this. People are always like, what are your top 3, books you love? Or I don't have one of those yet. I don't have an outro. Like, if you could do 3 things in life, what would they be? Or you can give 3 advice to people.
Yeah.
I think you said it. I think you said enough at the end of our combo. Like, I think it's fine. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
We're
People
good.
just need to, like, learn to be okay with themselves, not keep running to other things. But that's so harsh. I feel like I was a little bit harsher this conversation. I wasn't as forgiving to the public,
You know
I
what?
don't know.
So
How are you going to go about this podcast thing? Are you going to try to be like politically correct, or are you going to?
I'm not politically correct, so no. And I think I think there's a lot of people out there just stuck. And this podcast is for me to cater to women who may not have the courage to step into a jujitsu class, to step into anything that they want to do, or maybe they have no idea and they just need like a little bit of encouragement or a push or permission to try something different, or maybe they are stuck and your words will inspire them, or like a situation that someone is in and got out of. Maybe they just can't see the way out yet and they
Yeah.
need help
Yeah.
with that, whatever it might be. And I want to bring more awareness. I'm going to be interviewing people from all different walks of life, I think, mainly in like jujitsu, spiritual, when I say that, like more personal growth, like
Yeah.
self-awareness.
Emotional. Yeah, for sure.
And then beauty, in the beauty world too. So those are like the 3 facets of me and my personality, like physical, emotional, and helping women to feel better about themselves in any way that I can. So
you sound amazing. You look amazing. I miss you.
thanks. I miss you. I do so much. I like think about you all the time when I'm doing jujitsu. Like, oh man, I miss Sophia. I miss Sophia. I miss Alex. I miss Ryan. Oh, like, tell everyone I said hi.
I think I'm gonna finally be able to go back to the school this week, this next week. Waiting for them to fall off, and then we'll be good because I miss it,
Yeah.
so much. It's been really hard. But again, I'm okay because I know
You'll be
myself.
all right.
I'm fine.
Hey, maybe you need another little break to focus on your competition for dance. And then also tell Travis and Joe and all the guys and gals I say hi.
I will. Aki and Lisa and even Mel, my girl over here. They all love you. You're loved here. You're loved.
Thank you.
You're special.
Well, tell everyone hi, and I'm gonna end the recording so that Allie doesn't have to
keep doing this. Cool.
Edit this out.
Yes, thank you, Allie.
That much of a problem. Yeah.
Cool.
But anyways, I can call you back.
Okay.
I can talk to you another day. Whatever. What are you doing?
Yeah,
now?
I need to call this insurance agent guy and figure out the car thing.
Right. Cool.
But let's talk soon for sure.
All right.
I know you're
bye. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Love you.